Good morning and happy Tuesday, everybody. Came to you a little bit later today from the office. I think I'm going to go back to doing it earlier in the morning, although this way I don't wake up my wife. Last day talking about anchors, and today we're going to talk about collapsing an anchor. So we've been talking about positive anchors. We've been talking about anchors that'll get you motivated, get you going, scenes from movies. A lot of you disclose some great scenes from movies that motivate you. Music, of course, is one of the best anchors to use in order to motivate you in a certain direction. But what about if we have a negative anchor, and we all have them. Maybe you have an anchor where a certain look from a significant other can cause you to respond quickly and not in a very good way. There might be a song that is an anchor that relates to, a bad time that you had in your life, or maybe, the loss of a loved one, a loss of a parent. And all of a sudden there's a piece of music that takes you back to that moment, and not in a good way. Not in a way where you're thinking positively, but in a way where you're thinking negatively. So we can all end up with these negative anchors. And what we need to do is we need to first find them, and then we need to get rid of them. So when I was going through a really tough period in my life several years ago, I was walking through the park. I have a park that's near my house that I go through. I walk and I run through most days. And I would walk through the park in a certain way every day. And I did it every day. Well, then time passed and I got past this financial, situation that I was in, and suddenly things were great. And I'd get up in the morning and I'd feel great, and then I'd go for my walk and I'd come back and I would be tense and angry. Well, the walk was an anchor. It was an anchor in a negative way, because I had done that walk so many times when I was intense and struggling and dealing with all of these issues, that I would go back to that time when I did that walk. So what do you do when you've got a situation like that? Well, number one, you're going to want to interrupt the pattern. So one of the things that I did is I started walking in a different direction. So when I went into the park, instead of going left, I started going right. But the other thing that you need to do is you need to do what we call collapsing an anchor. So first of all, you got to find out what the anchor is that you want to get rid of. Then you want to create an incredibly positive anchor. You want to create an anchor that is going to outweigh this negative anchor, okay? So the easy way to do that is to do what we've talked about before, where you put yourself in a peak state and create an anchor. So like make a fist. So feel excited and strong, make a fist. Feel grateful, make a fist. Feel love, make a fist. Feel courage, make a fist. You got to stack that positive anchor and do it really intensely, because you want to have it to be strong enough to counteract that negative anchor. Because if you don't, if it's not strong enough to counteract that negative anchor, the negative anchor is going to counteract the positive anchor. So you want to make sure it's super strong. And you do that just by stacking. You do that by stacking more than one emotion. You don't just do excited. Remember, gratitude is a great one, because when you feel gratitude, you have no fear, right? So stack all those things up and then fire off the anchors at the same time. Fire off the positive anchor and the negative anchor at the same time, and the positive anchor will overpower the negative anchor. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to end up feeling positive as a result of that negative anchor, but you should feel neutral feelings. Now, when I've got somebody that I'm working with that's had like a traumatic event in their life, this is a great way to change their relationship to that event. And so what I'll do is I'll put one of the event in one hand, and then put a bunch of positive anchors in the other hand, and then put their hands together. And when this happens, you can actually see a moment where their face, one direction will go up and the other direction will go down. And then there's this integration process that happens in their nervous system. Remember, we actually can rewire our nervous system, and that's what this is doing. That's what creating anchors and doing all of these things is doing in that particular situation. So what you want to do is create all the positive anchors, and then fire off the positive anchor, and then do the negative anchor at the same time, and it's going to overtake that. So what I did with my walk is, first of all, I interrupted the pattern and I started going in a different direction. And then I created a whole bunch of positive anchors, and as I went through the walk, I did the positive anchors. This is where incantations started for me because I had gotten out of the pattern of doing incantations. So I was listening to Tony, but I wasn't doing the incantations. So I started doing those incantations, and it didn't take very long, and I had overdone all of those negative anchors and now created all new anchors and done positive anchors. So if you've got a negative anchor, if you've got a bad relationship with a parent or a bad relationship with an individual, or there's a piece of music or a location, maybe you go home for the holidays and it isn't always the best. The way to get rid of those negative anchors is to stack a positive anchor. Remember, you got to stack and then fire them off at the same time. And that positive anchor is going to neutralize that negative anchor, and it's not going to impact you so much. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Tomorrow, we're going to do the ultimate success conditioning. We're going to talk about swish patterns. Don't miss. It's a great opportunity and a great technique that works tremendously. Thanks for watching. I'll say hi to everybody. Mr. Drehobel, enjoying the warm weather down in Florida. Jamie, thank you so much for hopping on. Deanne, great to see you this morning. Judith, great to see you too. Thank you very much, guys. I truly appreciate it. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.